Hey everyone, it's Carly Hall, and today's video is a super practical video on how you can help while still staying at home with everything going on in the world right now. Last night I put out a call on my Instagram to see if people still needed additional personal protective equipment, PPE, and I received an overwhelming amount of response that yes, people still need handmade PPE. Of course, I'm not a doctor, and so I can't validate the effectiveness of what I'm about to show you, but this is my way of trying to help with everything that's going on. And as always, PPE that's handmade is a last resort, but it's better than nothing. And in some cases, some people have nothing. So I wanted to show you what I came up with. I modified a whole bunch of patterns that I found online to create these protective face shields. Now these are a moisture barrier that will prevent moisture from penetrating a N95 mask or a homemade face mask, and that will increase the longevity of the mask and of course protect the people behind the mask from getting any moisture in their face. So we are going to use transparency film, and the mask fits just like this. This one uses elastic, but I will also show you one that uses a string or a ribbon. All right, here is all you need to get started. So I am using transparency film, and this is the film that teachers use on overhead projectors or used. I'm not sure if they still use, but I will link to where you can find this online. It's from big office stores. Amazon has it. So again, please do not leave your homes to get your supplies. Have them shipped to you if you can, or ship them to people that are making these. So we will need transparency film. If you have elastic, I know a lot of us went through all of our elastic when we were making our face masks. So you either need elastic. I've seen gift wrap elastic being used, so I will link to all the places that still have elastic in stock. I'm using a 1/4 inch, 14 inch long piece of elastic, but you can also use string. So I know a lot of people are still out and working and they need any type of protection that they can get. So I wanted to include an option that you can use a piece of string or ribbon. And then optional is foam window seal. So this foam is what goes along the top of the face shield, just to make it a little bit more comfortable, but you actually do not need the foam to complete this project. We can do it without it. If you have a cutting machine, that's great. We can cut the template out. If not, you can print the template out and just cut around it like you would a sewing pattern. So we will be using our Cricut cutting machine. You can use your Maker or your Air 2, and then you'll just need a standard grip mat. Here is the file that I created for these face masks. So this is the shield in the front, and then these pieces are the head strap that makes it curve. So you can fit 2, 4, 6, 8 on one sheet of transparency, and then one mask on each 8.5 by 11 transparency sheet. We are going to bring this design into Cricut Design Space. So start by opening Design Space and then navigating to the upload option here. We're going to choose upload, browse all images, and then download the version from my blog, or if I sent it to you in email, I will make sure to put the link in the video description below so that you have it easily accessible. So I'm going to open up this version here, and then we're going to save it and continue on. We'll insert that onto our canvas, and it should come in just like this at the correct size already. So we'll click Make It. And then this part is kind of helpful. I decided that I wanted to move these to the center of my mat to make lining up the 8.5 by 11 material a little bit easier. Since I cut it so big, 8.5 by 11 is actually not an option for my material size because it's a little bit too big for 8.5 by 11. So we're gonna hack it just a little bit, and we're gonna drop that into the center of our cutting mat by dragging it to the center. We'll do the same thing with the larger shield. And you can see that I'm about 1/4 inch, a little bit over from that red line. So you just want to pay attention to where the red line is. Click continue and then connect to your machine. If you are using a Explorer Air 2 machine, you can turn your dial to custom and then choose browse all materials like you can on the Maker, and then just search transparency. And then choose this result here and click done. We're going to start with the larger face shield piece, And I will show you how to load the transparency on your mat so that you cut it perfectly every single time. To load your transparency film in the center of your mat, I used a piece of masking tape along the edges. You can see it's just a standard roll of masking tape. And I taped it along the edges just so that I could see where the center was a little bit easier. And then I also measured down about 1/4 of an inch down my mat, maybe a little bit closer to the top, and I taped that off. Now you can cut the first one and then see where it ends up being. That could be helpful as well. So after you have it taped out, you're just going to want to line it up against that masking tape at the top and then do your best to center the 8.5 by 11 sheet landscape along your mat. So I have it up against almost each edge of the masking tape and then against the top edge of the tape there. We'll load this into our cutting machine and then cut it. You can see here that by centering it just like that, all of your pieces will not be cut off and you'll have your clear face shield ready to go. Next, we'll cut the strap around your head and we will line up the transparency film the same way and cut that. I added some numbers around the holes so you could see what I'm doing, and then I went ahead and I cut down a piece of foam and applied it. If you don't have the adhesive foam, you can tape this on with double-sided tape, and then the 4 holes are right here, so I will circle those so you can see them as well. I'm going to start with our elastic version. Again, if you don't have elastic, we will also do a string version. So starting on the second hole with the piece that has your foam or your headpiece, you're going to slide that through. And then on the second hole, number 2, again, this is the back side of your mask. You're also going to slide that through to the front. You'll want to give yourself a little bit of room because you will be tying this piece. A single knot works just fine, but if you want to do a square knot, you can also double knot it, but I'll show you that. With this size elastic, you should be okay with 1 single knot. So I have my elastic through the front, through hole number 2. Then I'm going to lace it through the first hole on my headpiece, and then through the first hole on my shield. And here's the front, and this is the back. Now this piece is going to wrap around the head, and we're going to come back over and go through the front of hole number 4. And then the front of the outermost hole on the headpiece. So it should look like this now. Then we're going to go through the 3rd hole, through the back of the head strap, and then through the 3rd hole of the face shield. And then pull that tight and make your knot. Now, if you are assembling these for people, make sure to assemble them using washed hands or wearing gloves and a mask so that you are not spreading any type of germs onto your mask. And then you'll pull that tight just like that. I have my mannequin head. So the way that this goes on is around the front of the head, just like that. And then you have your face shield over your face. If the person wearing it needs to tighten these or loosen them, you can also provide the elastic so that you can tighten or loosen them and trim away the extra if you want to. So again, that's how it fits. Now let's move on to the version with the string. Okay, for the string version, we are going to do almost the exact same thing. although you will need about double the length of your string. So I did about 2 arms length of string just to give myself a little bit of extra. And then if you want to tape the ends of your string to make it a little bit easier to thread through, you can do that. All right, to make this easy for instructions, we are going to thread it almost the exact same way. So similar to how you had your elastic go through hole number 2 first, you're going to have that come out hole number 2 towards the front. Then you're going to lace it back through hole number 1 so that it creates that same loop. This piece is the piece that will go around the head. So again, we'll go through hole number 4 through the front. So it loops around the mask. Again, this will go around the head. And then we'll go back through hole number 3. Now you can lace this however you want, but for tutorial purposes, I thought it would be the easiest to mimic the same way that we went around the other. And then you can even it out so that you have enough on both sides. Now to wear this, we'll use my mannequin head again. This will go around the head. It might be hard to put it on with one person, but we'll see. Okay, so to wear this, you will put it around the head like this and then tie it in the back. Let me change cameras so you can see. Okay, so to wear this, you have the strings or the face shield in the front like this, and then the strings will come around the back of the head like that, and then you will tie it here into a knot. So you can see I left probably a little bit too much string, but then you can secure it in the back just like this with a bow so that your face shield goes around the head like that. Again, you don't need the foam. I originally took it off because I thought it was difficult to sanitize, but then a whole bunch of medical professionals said, can you please add the foam or make sure that the foam works, because it does add a lot of extra comfort. So I went ahead and added it back on. Hopefully this was easy enough to follow. If you have questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I will happily answer those. If you work in the medical industry and you want to see modifications to these files, please let me know. I'm happy to modify it. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I am just a crafter trying to help. So if you have better suggestions or ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. I also played around with the idea of adding some type of grommet to the holes to make them a little bit sturdier. These haven't ripped without support, but if you want to make them sturdier and you have a grommet setter or a crocodile, absolutely, you can add those, and that will probably help a lot with the string version, since the strings don't hold the form as well as the elastic does. So if you have any questions, let me know. I will also leave my email address in case you have questions or any issues with the file. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.